Hey adventurers, so today is going to be another book review. This is going to be for The Legend of by Aaron N. Hall. This is a high fantasy, quest fantasy, coming of age, kind of a lot of those generic types of genres, and I'll be of course be talking more about that as I go through here. So The Legend of is a self-published book by author Aaron N. Hall. This book tells the story of young Sir DJ as he goes on a quest across the world with a group of companions. The author sent me an e-arc and asked me to give it an honest review before it came out in February, and so that's what I'm doing here. It takes me a long time to get through ebooks though, and so I had to make sure that when he offered me the ebook, I had to make sure that I would have enough time to get through it in order to get out a review as well before it was released and towards the end of February, and so I had to make sure that I could do that, and I thought that I was going to be able to, and so I said yes, and it turns out that I was able to get through this one. Before I continue on with this review, I'd just quickly like to say if you're liking what you're seeing from an Erudite adventure, please like, comment, and subscribe. Alright, so this book is kind of interesting for me. I don't think I've ever read a book that's quite this hard to classify. In a lot of ways it feels very young adult or even very YA, middle grade, very young adult and middle grade. The characters, the situations, the dialogue, etc. They lean very young in a lot of times. But then at other times, those same things can be rather adult as well. Based on the cover art, the map, and what the author has told me about the book, I assumed that it was going to be more on the middle grade side of things. And while I would say that the writing is easy enough for a middle grade reader, I also don't think that I'd be willing to give it to my own kids at this age, and I will talk more about why that is in a second. But that's kind of a weird thing for me to say, especially with some of the other things that I'm going to say in a bit here. But it is very easy to read, so I will make sure that is something that you understand. I found it very easy to read. However, I remember thinking several times as I was reading this that had I read it as a kid, I'd have been quoting it all the time. I'd have been rereading it and talking about it to everyone, assuming that they'd read it as well and knew exactly what I was talking about when I was saying all these lines from the book or something like that, or talking about, do you remember when DJ did this? And it would be things like that, and it just, nobody else would understand, but they'd nod and smile and act like they knew what I was talking about and really didn't, because it's the type of book that as a kid I would have gotten invested in and would have read over and over and over and over again and just loved to death. Basically, not quite from page one, but very quickly into the book, I was thinking that about the story as I went, and that idea stayed with me the entire time. There's a level of childhood wonder in this book that I haven't seen in many other books recently, and it reads very quickly, like I've mentioned several times now. But also there's a good bit of crude humor and vulgarity in this book, as well as language and other adult themes that I really wouldn't want my own children to consume. There's a lot of references to other literary things, characters, authors, etc. in this book that would also more than likely just go over the kids' heads, and so in that way it's kind of for the more adult readers who have read and who understand these references that are being made, and they're just things that would kind of go over the kids' heads. So it's all these things tied together to make me think like this is a very, very hard book to classify for an age range. All that being said, there is a lot to enjoy about this book, and I had a really fun time reading it. I greatly enjoyed, I remember, so I read ebooks on my lunch break, and I have about 20 minutes to read is all. And I remember sitting down, and every day I was like, yeah, I want to read this next. I want to see what comes next in this. It's very episodic feeling, and it reads very quickly, and it's very fun to read. And I remember wanting to go back to it each lunch break and being happy and willing to go back to it, not just because I was asked to or requested to for this review, but because I was genuinely curious as to what came next, or interested enough to pick it back up. It's very episodic, as I just mentioned, so you can read one or two chapters and then come back to it after that. I think it's usually split into 2-chapter blocks for the most part. If I remember correctly, there'd be like 2 chapters that took place around this one event, and then the next they'd go on the next part of the journey and come across this next event, and it would be another 2 chapters, more or less, something along those lines. And so you could read short blocks fairly easily, and then set it aside to come back to it at a later point. There's a lot of fun Easter eggs and references to catch if you're looking for them. I'm pretty sure that I didn't catch them all because I haven't read everything, and there's undoubtedly some things that I was not aware of that it was referencing, but I caught a lot of them, and that's always fun when you can see those types of things. And some good world building within this book, within this world that was going on. It's very, very small, very simple in a lot of ways, but it's also, there's some decent world building that goes along with it. Nothing massively amazing, but it's fun overall and well written. But at the same time, there were moments where I thought, why is this included, or why is it done this way? Obviously, it's because the author wanted to include it, and some of that's fine, but some of it I feel like it would have been better to maybe not leave out completely, but to change the way that it was approached, stuff like that, and maybe have a more clear target audience in your mind when with the writing of a book like this. Overall, though, I found it a fun read, but not a new favorite. I think that to some degree it was not the right, I was not the right audience for this, but I still enjoyed my time with it for the most part. Overall, I had a good experience reading this book, and I'm happy to support self-published authors. I just need them to understand that, well, one, I can't guarantee that I'm going to enjoy your book, and 2, I can't guarantee that I'll get to your book in a timely manner. So if you're gonna offer me a book, just be well aware of that I cannot guarantee that I will get to it in a timely manner. That's really the biggest thing. I'm happy to support authors. I'm happy to read their books eventually, but I can't do it immediately. So anyways, that is my thoughts and review on The Legend of by Aaron N. Hall. Let me know what you guys think. Tell me in the comments down below, and we will see you guys again soon. Stay warm.